Hey everybody, Mynor here, and welcome to this month's edition of Minute with Mynor and Associates. Today we're here with my old friend, and not that she's old, just that we've known each other for a long time, Sherri and her lovely family, the Bow family. And what we're talking about this month is a very hot topic. We're talking about homeschooling or schooling from home, whichever way you're going to have it. And Sherri has been doing it for quite some time. She had a successful career. She was overseas with Google and living the dream and all that. And then she transitioned into homeschooling, still working part-time, correct? But homeschooling 4 kids. So if there is an expert out there, it's Sherri. So Sherri, what kind of tips can you share? First, introduce your family, and then tell us what kind of tips you might have for people out there.
Okay, so obviously I'm Sherri, and we kind of stumbled across homeschooling, kind of looked at it like an adventure one year, and then just fell in love with the process and the freedom, as well as the curriculum. So we homeschool here at 4 kids. This is going to be different for us as well, because homeschooling is almost like a misnomer. We're actually never home. We actually take classes with other kids in various learning centers around the Washington, D.C. area. So, and we also rely heavily on our sports for social interaction. So this is going to be a challenge for us as well. And as Mynor said, I also work part-time. So I understand juggling the cooking, the cleaning, the Zoom meetings, the trainings, the constant interruptions. So I'm just here to offer, I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but we have been homeschooling for 9 years, and I've got 2 teenagers. Ava's my oldest in 10th grade, she's 15. I've got 2 boys inside who are, yes, playing video games right now and completely happy, but I've got a 13-year-old son, an 11-year-old son, and then Bella, our youngest, she's 8. So we have a little bit of everything. So I know what it's like to homeschool boys versus girls, which can often be very different.
And we'll notice that it's the girls here because I suppose they're the models. So a couple of things. For people, they're doing this for the first time, right? Coming off of a disastrous spring, it's got to be tough, right? So what do? Do you space them out? Do you have a separate space? Do they go to that space every day?
I think that is probably the first tip I would have, is to probably alter your expectations and reality versus what in your mind you think homeschooling is going to look like. We have a beautiful homeschooling room, that I set up, the pottery barn, the cute rug, the little mason jars with sharpened pencils. My kids are never in there, which is nice because it stays clean. But the boys will often choose to be on their bed, in the basement where all the video games are, under a table. The kitchen table is a favorite, which, is interesting because there's a lot of chaos going around in the kitchen and noise. But they all kind of just pick their space, and I learned to give that battle up a long time ago. If it's going to produce some sort of efficiency, then they can be productive wherever they're happy.
So what I'm hearing is comfort is important, because they're going to be in front of a screen for a long time for some of these kids, right? Or doing projects on their own, so comfort is important.
Right. And also, boys are different than girls, and so a lot of our day will be structured around what mood my kids woke up in. So the boys, they need to take constant breaks. They do not want to sit for hours at a time. So if they can't do it, then I often just send them outside. They need to do a 20-minute bike ride, a run around the block, then they need to do that to come back so that they can stay focused. Because many of these kids, their home is their home. It's not a school. It's not a classroom. And they know that, and they will call you out on that. So for them, they just need that change, that mental change of environment every once in a while.
Now, it sounds like you don't have as much screen time as some people are going to have doing online classes. But when there is screen time, do you recommend sitting there and powering through the whole class or breaking it up? Is there a right or wrong?
I mean, obviously, as an adult, I would rather just power through it. That's my personality, but it's not realistic. So if they need to take a minute and pause the class and come back to it later, then that's what we recommend. We are not online like distance learning, and I'm hoping for most kids that their distance learning is not going to be a 4-hour chunk. I would highly recommend that you reduce the subjects, or even come up with a looping schedule, which is something that is you can take content-based classes like history and science. You don't have to cover those every day. Then you have the skill set classes like Latin or math. Those are subjects that you do need to cover every day. And so a loop schedule basically gives you a task list, and you just move down the tasks as you get to them. Maybe Tuesday doesn't work every day. Every Tuesday can't work for science because life happens. But if science is the next thing on your looping schedule, you can hit science when you're ready. So there's a way to divide and conquer your curriculum. I think it's really important for students and now home educators to understand that they're not going to cover every subject like they might at a school on a proper school day.
We'll cover PE very well in my house. Ava, you're a social young lady, as from what I can tell from your mom's Facebook posts. You have a lot of friends. I'm sure it's been a huge adjustment going through this pandemic. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're doing now to stay connected with your friends?
Normally, I would it's almost like college because instead of going to the same classroom every day, I would just, for each subject, be signed up for a different class, and then me and all my friends would book that class together. And so normally we would go into class, and then in between classes, we would like go out to eat together and then carpool to our next class. But now, since we obviously can't do that anymore, we kind of just FaceTime in between classes and then get our work done and then just go onto Zoom for our next class. And a lot of my social interaction was through sports. So in the morning, I would do swim with my friends, and then like competitive swimming, I'd have swim practice, and then she'd take me to my next class. But obviously, we can't do that either. So a lot of the social is like it's not as much as usual, but it's mostly just FaceTime now and just like social media, I guess, and seeing each other through Zoom classes for sports and stuff.
So next up we have Bella, who is 8, and she's sporting a BCC Youth Club wrestling shirt, which I love. So, little one, at 8 years old, how are you handling this? Do you enjoy what you're doing? I heard you have a pretty structured day that you've come up with on your own. Can you talk about that?
Well, when I wake up, I usually do online homework, and then I usually read and do a book report, and then maybe go on a run or do a workout with my dad.
Wow, and do you do that on your own, or do your parents have to tell you to do it?
I really do it on my own.
Good for you. At 8 years old, and you're following your own schedule, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, it's been great to talk with the Bow family. Sherri, do you have any parting advice for our people at home?
Well, I have tons of advice. I could sit here with Mynor all day, but I really just want to support and encourage the moms out there who, and the dads, and the single parents, and the working parents who were not expecting to be homeschooling their children, that this is a great journey. You have freedom over your own day. Just walk alongside your child. It's not going to be easy, and life happens. So the image that you might have for what the day should look like or what you should accomplish, it may not actually happen, and that's okay. Your children are going to be okay. Nobody's going to fall behind. The social aspect, there might be a way that if it's safe or you feel safe or it's within the county guidelines, that you could find a micro group, a support group of other kids and other moms and dads that can walk through the process with you. That's encouraging. I would just advise, don't compare yourself to other households. What works in your home may not work in somebody else's home, and that is okay. You have to work within your family unit. I understand that because there's 4 kids with 4 different moods and 4 different styles of learning, and I find that if I can adapt, it's easier. I'm not always patient. I wake up in a bad mood too, and maybe that day won't be our most productive of the week. That's okay. We have 365 days to do it. But I would say keep it simple. You're the mom, you're the dad first, and this is your home. You're just, trying to walk alongside your child. This is new for them as well. And just do the best that you can. So keep it simple. Don't feel that you need to go out and buy a whole bunch of curriculum. Honestly, if your child just reads and writes and does a little bit of math every day, it's a huge win. You might be surprised by how much your child thrives. Some children may enjoy being at home and some may not, but they will still thrive. I would say if you can read to your children, read to your children. If you can't, or you have a Zoom meeting, don't forget there's Audible and audio books. So it's a great way to have some unwinding. They can journal, they can, nothing has to be set in stone. You don't have to do a book report every day. You don't have to do a history paper every day. Just journaling, or copy work from a great classic. It all counts as homeschooling and education, and it will matter and it will make a difference. Every little success that you have in a day will make a difference. And empower your children. Let them be in charge of their own schedule if you can. Try it. You might be surprised. It may take some time. Bella being 8, I know that she can do it. So my kids, we've been homeschooling for a while, so it's a little bit different. But we do know, they know what's expected of them in a given week. But I don't sit down with them and say, okay, you need to do math first, you need to do science second. They know what they need to accomplish within a day. I have a little list. They can write it. They can do little colorful check boxes, and they can get it done as they feel they want to. So Bella might feel like doing her online work first. That may not work for my son. But if you empower them, you'll be surprised at what they can accomplish on their own. And it's a great life lesson and a great life skill.
All right, some great takeaways. Special thanks to Sherri and her lovely family, the Bow family. A lot of great takeaways. Flexibility. Things aren't going to go as they planned. They just won't. Empowerment of your kids, right? You'd be surprised at how much these kids can take on, such as following their own schedules at the tender age of 8. Don't compare your insides to somebody else's outsides. Everybody's got their own hurdles to overcome. Let's just focus on what we can do. And don't forget, tomorrow is a new day to screw things up or to make things better. Don't worry about it. This too shall pass. I know it's a little bit different. It's not a real estate video per se, but so many of these conversations have come up as people are concerned about the house that they're in. Can they be quarantined in there for another 6 months? What's going to happen and so forth. So to tie it all up, yes, interest rates are ridiculously low. There are no houses to buy out there. Sellers, where are you? Come out. We can solve your homeschooling or schooling from home issues by giving you a bigger house. But in all seriousness, these are some great tips. If you want more information, we'll provide more resources in the links and so forth. If you have any questions about anything at all, you know how to reach us. Thanks again for watching. See you guys next month. Take care.